Hello, my name is Jake Maynard, and I'd like to talk to you about sensitivity analysis as a tool in capital budgeting. What are we going to talk about today? What is sensitivity analysis? What are some qualitative and quantitative steps that we're going to use to perform that? As well as how can we incorporate risk from our project into that analysis to give us the best outcome? So, what is sensitivity analysis? It's a technique used to assess the impact of changes in input variables or assumptions on the output of a model, often in the context of financial analysis or decision making. It helps us understand how sensitive the results, for example, the net present value, the internal rate of return, modified internal rate of return, or other key performance metrics are used as far as variations in the underlying assumptions. So let's get into some qualitative steps. Qualitative steps in sensitivity analysis for capital budgeting involve a structured approach to understanding the key assumptions, variables, and uncertainties that can impact a project's financial outcomes. These qualitative steps provide the foundation for conducting sensitivity analysis. Let's get into a few examples of qualitative steps that you would use for sensitivity analysis. Right off the bat, you'd want to identify key variables. Let's define the range of assumptions that we're working with, and then start assessing potential scenarios. We want to determine the best and worst case scenarios, or outcomes rather. And then let's think about considering some expert judgment. We want to get into our variables and prioritize which ones are going to be key for this analysis. Let's document those assumptions and scenarios so that way continuity is preserved over the life of the analysis. We want to consider external factors and threats outside of the company. Let's not forget about engaging the stakeholders as well, whether that's shareholders or other key members that this project could affect. And then also review historical data to see what's been done in the past. Do we need to reinvent the wheel? Let's now get into some quantitative steps. Quantitative steps in sensitivity analysis for capital budgeting involve manipulating the numerical values of key variables and assessing how these changes impact the project's financial metrics. These steps are essential for quantifying the sensitivity of the project's outcomes to variations in critical assumptions. So now that we've defined qualitatively what variables we're looking at, now we're going to manipulate them to get us the information that we want. So let's take a look at some quantitative steps. First off, you could build a financial model. We want to select the variables for analysis, define the base case, vary input parameters systematically, record output metrics, create sensitivity tables or graphs, analyze the impact, repeat for other variables, aggregate or combine effects, and then we're going to consider risk adjustment for our sensitivity analysis coming up here in just a second. Summarize the report findings and consider using software for all of this. All right, now how can we incorporate risk? Incorporating project risk into sensitivity analysis is an essential aspect of making informed capital budgeting decisions. This approach allows decision makers to account for the uncertainty and variability in the project's assumptions and assess the potential impact of risk on financial outcomes. There are a lot of uncertainties out there, and we can't account for everything, but we can do our best to lay out models that'll give us the best shot of finding out what that risk really is. So some ways that we can do that: probability distributions, Monte Carlo simulations, risk-adjusted sensitivity analysis, which is what we're talking about, scenario analysis with risk scenarios, stress testing, decision trees, or tornado diagrams. This is really popular, where you assess how big of an impact it is to your project, putting the bigger ones at the top and the smaller ones at the bottom, hence why it looks like a tornado. So in conclusion, sensitivity analysis, it's a pivotal tool in capital budgeting, enabling organizations to navigate complex financial decisions with confidence. Qualitative factors lay the groundwork for identifying key variables and assumptions, helping decision makers understand the qualitative aspects of their projects. Quantitative techniques, on the other hand, facilitate the systematic evaluation of these factors, providing numerical insights into the project's sensitivity to varying assumptions. The incorporation of risk factors through methods like probability distributions, Monte Carlo simulations, and risk-adjusted metrics adds an essential layer of realism, allowing for more comprehensive understanding of the project's potential outcomes in the face of uncertainty. By combining qualitative and quantitative approaches and factoring in risk, sensitivity analysis empowers decision makers to make well-informed and robust financial choices in the dynamic world of capital budgeting. This has been an overview in sensitivity analysis as a tool for capital budgeting. I'm Jake Maynard. Thanks for watching.